Hi everyone, my name is Nico. I'm the CTO and co-founder for 514. And today we're going to be talking about some Moose internals, specifically the planning functionality. So if you're not familiar with Moose, I encourage you to look at other videos that we've made. This is going to be going a little bit more into the details, and I won't go through Moose fundamentals here. So basically, planning functionality. If you're familiar with Git, this is going to be very familiar. So here I basically have a Moose project with a few things here that are, this is basically the default project. And here I have lazygit, which is basically a TUI for Git. And so Git is basically helps you manage version control of your software and manage the versions of the code. One of the things that came through recently also in another parallel is Terraform. So Terraform enables you to write infrastructure as code and then apply changes only to the things that you've changed in the code so that the infrastructure only changes on those particular things. Moose planning is a little bit the same with the added differentiator that we handle all the glue between the different elements for you when it comes to data engineering. That's our specialty. So where is this all going? Well, Moose internally is holding what we call an infrastructure map. So the infrastructure map is basically all the components of the infrastructure that are being created and managed by the Moose application when you declare your source code. So if I go on the left here and we are setting up an interface foo, a data model foo, here when you declare this, basically behind the scenes, we're going to be setting up a topic, we're going to be setting up a table, we're going to be setting up an API endpoints, etc., etc. So all those things, they're being tracked within the infrastructure map. So if I pull it up again, yeah, that I want it to stay here. So it's all being tracked in the infrastructure map. So basically what that allows us to do then is to be able to start making differences between two infrastructure maps, either the local one and the remote one. And once you have the state basically of the current state and the state you want to go to, you can start making diffs, planning infrastructure changes, and then applying those changes. So that works both locally, purely locally in dev mode, and with a remote. So when you do in dev mode, so if I start new Moose server, I'm going to start with dev. It's going to come up. And basically what I'm going to do once this has gone up is I'm going to change the data model. And what we'll see is the watcher within the dev mode that will pick up the changes of the file, produce behind the scenes a new infrastructure map based on the changes that you've made, and then we'll apply the changes directly locally. So that's like a very close loop where you basically changing the files, producing what the changes it should be, and applying them directly on the local infrastructure that's spun up behind the scenes here. So if I go here and then basically I add, let's say, a brand new interface, which I'll call blah blah. Let's see how cursor is not very original, but that doesn't matter. And I save this file, and then I go back to my terminal. See, so now it said, okay, so I had a partial file at some point, so it wasn't very happy with that. But once I saved a proper file, it said, okay, now I'm gonna create a topic, a table, and then I'm gonna create a syncing process between my table and my topic. And so all of this happened basically behind the scenes, where we went through this loop of making a plan, applying that plan, and then getting feedback here in the terminal. So now if, for example, I delete this back, then boom, not this boom, this boom, it's processing the changes. Now it deleted like all the infrastructure that it had provisioned. Like same thing with the endpoint here. So now this is the local experience. Now when you're actually shipping things to production, one of the things that you care about is being able to see what's the current state of your production, let's say this remote infrastructure, and then based off the changes that you've made to your local project, what are going to be the infrastructure changes that are going to be applied there. And so this is where the remote planning functionality comes into play. So here I'm going to hit clear. And the first thing I'm going to do is moose plan minus remote. And then I need to get my remote here. Let me pull up my remote address. Okay, got it. Cool. Remote, and then minus token hashtag $moose under plan token. So this token is actually like, this is an admin functionality based on this remote, and so like the token is a token that's been configured in the moose config under the authentication. This is actually not the key if this is a hash, so like you can't use this to do anything. So this is a hash of the token that like is needed for being able to authenticate to this. So this is like protected right there. And here, when I'm gonna do moose plan, it should moose plan minus help. Another thing. Oh, it's URL. Okay, so moose plan minus URL, and then minus token. And so here, what we should see is basically saying like no changes, because that's what I have deployed is the same state of this app, like as we were like seeing in Git. Here, I'll close this off for now. So we were seeing in Git, this is my repo. I don't have any changes here, any significant changes, and I'm on main. So basically, this is what's deployed. Now, let's just say I want to make changes. So the first thing I'm gonna do as my like normal Git workflow, I'll make a new branch. So I'll call it demo planning. So I'm on a new branch now, and then I'll make a change. So basically what I'll do for the sake of this example is I'll just add a new field on foo. So now I've changed this. Let's just say now I want to commit this, but before I commit, I want to know, okay, what actually is going to happen on my production. So now terminal, and then and now I come back to this terminal, and I can just execute. And now it says a little bit more stuff. It says, oh, it's going to add a column optional data on my table. great, that's exactly what I want to do. So I can now start committing this, pushing, merging, and then having that be applied to prod. The other interesting things about this plan is that can be leveraged in your CI/CD pipeline. So here you can see within the CI/CD pipeline where I'm installing Moose, like the CI, and basically I'm running the plan functionality and I'm setting the output of a plan functionality on my PR. So basically what will happen is like every time I push something, then I'll get a comment on the PR that says like all the changes that are going to happen. So before I merge and I ship to prod, I'm going to have a pretty good idea about the changes I'm making. So yeah, that's essentially what planning is. It's enabling you to tell the difference between your between two sets of Moose projects. It so happens that it's being used in your dev mode right now locally to be able to apply changes to the local infrastructure that's being run when you run Moose Dev. And then it can also be used to look at the changes that are going to be applied to your production system before shipping to prod. And doing this safely through all the best practices with encryption and authentication. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you later in another video or in one of our office hours. See you. Bye.